The biggest challenges when it comes to informative speaking is simplicity, interest, clarity, and credibility. A lot of people miss some or all of these things when speaking, and it really just causes the speaker to lose their audience and really not get as big of an impact as they were hoping. So simplicity is important because if the speech you're giving is about a complicated subject, as simple as you can make it, it will appeal to the most people that you can possibly get it to. And the more people that know about what you're talking about, the better usually. Interest is really important because if nobody cares about what you're talking about, they're not going to listen, they're not going to pay attention, and they're not going to apply it in their life. So it doesn't really matter if they're not interested. Clarity is important because if what you're talking about is a hot mess, there's no plan, there's no anything, no one's going to understand what you're talking about. They're going to be like, this was a hot mess. I was really interested in this, but I couldn't even understand what they were talking about. Doesn't work. Credibility is important because if you're up there, you're shaking, you're shy, people get nervous, but you kind of have to play it off. You have to be larger and present yourself in a way that is confident and clear and engaging and authentic. They're going to listen to you. They're going to trust you more. So, yeah. One challenge I think that this might bring up for me is maybe interest, because I feel like I am interested in certain things that are very specific, and I'm like, oh, not a lot of people know about this. But they might not because they don't care. So I'm not sure if my desire to share this with others is as effective as I think it might be. So the difference between an audience-centered speaker versus the self-centered speaker, the self-centered speaker is going to get nowhere. Nobody cares about their life story if there's no point to it. Maybe people think it's interesting if they want to hear a story, but if you're, trying to get a call to action or something like that, it's not going to do much. But with the audience-centered speaker, it's about them. So like the Yoda, Luke Skywalker analogy, we're the master, they are the Padawan, learner, whatever it might be. And they are the ones that you're teaching it to. So you can't teach somebody something in a way that they're not going to understand it. There's no point. It doesn't work. So I really liked that analogy. You really have to speak to your audience at their level, at their understanding, everything. And that's when you get an effective point across. My personal goal for this speech is to get better at research. I think sometimes I'll take, the first 2 or 3 things that come to me. I don't really look that deep into it unless it kind of raises a flag to me. But certain things might not raise a flag, and they should. Other things like that. So I'm excited to be able to kind of deep dive and learn how to research, websites, like which ones to use and things like that. So my topic, I'm planning on talking about everyday items that impact fertility. So I think I'm going to take a things you should avoid approach, and I want to make sure that I cover both genders, while like the things that they can approach, each gender can do it, is kind of what I'm indicating. So my kind of introduction, or actually no, why this is important to the audience. Obviously a lot of college kids aren't married, aren't trying to get pregnant right now, but a lot of fertility issues come from habits and things that have started in the past. So I think it's important that, and they don't know that things could impact potential fertility because most people do want kids, right? So I think that this is something important that people need to know about beforehand so they can make proper decisions and get ahead of it before it can become an issue. So my introduction, I'm going to start with a story of how it took my mom 3 years to have me, or 3 years to have her first kid conceive, whatever. And just be like, she didn't know about all these things that you could have done. And, it caused a lot of heartache. most people want kids. The current statistic given by the World Health Organization right now is 1 out of every 6 couples have trouble conceiving. And then kind of be like, a lot of these are because of obesity, people having kids later in life, PCOS. But what I'm going to talk about is small daily switches that have been proven to help people that everybody can make starting now. So, and then say people shouldn't start trying to make these switches when they're, 2 years down the road of infertility or whatever, 6 months. Anyways, make these switches now so you don't have to suffer in the future, or potentially don't have to suffer. So my 3 main points would be to offer 3 switches that can be made to prevent infertility or kind of help it not be as hard. I don't know. Anyways, so I'm going to be like, cotton underwear is a great alternative to use to synthetic fibers because synthetic fibers can have, BPAs or whatever, kind of do the research and go into it, and then talk about using using glass and metal food containers instead of plastic food containers, and then talk about air purifiers, air fresheners, and perfumes, and how the chemicals in that aren't good for you. They're mess with your hormones, everything like that, and to use essential oils instead. So talk about the problem, the reason why, and then the alternative. So my story that I'm going to tell is start with the story of my mom, the statistic. Most people want to have kids, explain why it's important to get a head start on it now versus later, and then go into top 3 or 4, whatever switches to make. So the underwear, the glass and the plastic, and then the perfumes and stuff. So give the thing to avoid, tell what effect it has on the body and why it's bad, and then explain that the changes are very easy, very applicable, both genders, everything. And then say, to wrap things up, I explained 3 super easy, low effort switches anyone can make in their household to prevent infertility in the future. These 3 easy switches are to make a start on using cotton underwear, use glass and metal instead of plastic, and to use essential oils or essential oil-based perfume instead. These are all 3 hassle-free changes you can make as a precaution to help save yourself from potential future heartache.